Okay. We are back, and a few housekeeping notes. First of all, there have been two audio releases. So if you have subscribed, if you have the misfortune of having subscribed to this channel, then you should notice another playlist, which is attached to the podcast feed on Podbean, but it should make the podcast portion available through YouTube. And obviously, if you prefer to listen via an RSS feed or a podcatcher, or a Zune from 1999 with a 16 meg hard drive, and that's how you like to listen to your MP3s, then you should be in good shape there. I put out a slightly re-edited version of the first one because I accidentally updated the one without the dramatis personae. So that was a little embarrassing. But yeah, so it's up. And what was interesting, I think, well, number one was the realization, obviously, which I think any of the veterans who've tried to do these kinds of things as a side hobby realize the two things. One, the amount of content that you can get from your actual play is pretty astonishing. And so, in terms of where we are, spoilers, hot fucking spoilers, if you get to the end of episode 2 of the audio drama, you'll realize that we basically we end off with the scene where we meet Boar, and we have just killed the bandits on the road to Hommlet. And you realize just like how many hours of actual play went into producing. At that point, I think each episode is about, if you cut out the bumper music, probably about 20-25 minutes of content. I'm aiming for about 30 minutes per episode. So that ratio is pretty astonishing. And then if you also factor in the amount of time it actually takes to record the fucking audio portion, it is also pretty astonishing. So the exercise was interesting. I haven't had a lot of free time lately, but the exercise was interesting, if only to cement the respect that I have for folks like John from Tale of the Manticore, Simon from Legend of the Bones, etc. It's an astonishing, and my audio engineering skills obviously suck ass, but still, the amount of time required to actually put together a 30-minute audio drama based on a solo play is astonishing. Probably took me 3 or 4 hours. So, but hopefully I'll get a little faster at it. I can see where some of the common work or the common pieces that you need to put together the podcast. And again, I am a complete zero level peasant as far as my audio engineering skills goes, and obviously it shows in the podcast. So I apologize in advance. It may get a little bit better, but in general, I don't see I don't see a huge jump in my audio engineering skills. I know how to fade in. I know how to fade out. I know how to. Eventually, I'll get one of those things that makes the puh less abrasive. But other than that, it's kind of about the quality I think that I'll be able to produce. So, apologies if it's not up to your standards. Anyway, so the actual play. Well, a couple things. So those 2 episodes are now out. You should be able to listen to them, and I'm following a fairly familiar format, which is 20 to 30 minutes. The key difference, obviously, with my approach here, and I'm not some genius, but it is different, is that when you listen to those, you aren't going to hear any dice rolls, and you aren't going to hear any reference to the rules. So those are strictly audio dramas, and I'm going to keep it that way. So, we're going to be reading a book, essentially, and the only real time we're breaking from the story are those dramatis personae moments, which I lifted from Tales of Mystara and Tale of Manticore, Legends of the Bones. I think they're useful just because if you think about when you're reading, I don't know, whatever, the Rue Emerson Greyhawk novels, you do have kind of flashbacks. You have pieces of text, parts of the book, where you do step away from the story and you get to know maybe the backstories of the characters. So I think those are useful, and I'll continue to do them. It's not like we're gonna have 1,000 PCs, but I may do them for significant NPCs, and you know, I think they're useful. They provide a breakpoint for us to step away from the story and maybe go back in time and show some formative moment. But I'm not gonna put a ton of work into them because, for all I know, our party, you know, could be dead here in the next actual play. So that's the audio drama. Hopefully you've gone and listened to it. And again, if you have any real feedback on that, you can leave comments on the YouTube channel, or you can, you know, tell me I suck on Podbean, and I'll probably just tell you to fuck off. But back to the actual play. So as we last left our party, they had defeated a group of orcs, and they are... Let's switch our view here. You know, they are most of the way to the location of the ruined moat house, which a few different parties back in Hommlet had advised them to go investigate. So we have Turjon, who is keen to settle the matter of the brigands, and perhaps return to Valuna. We have they've hooked up with a magic user named Spugnoir, who has his own motivations, which are built around himself wanting to gather up a bunch of magical scrolls. So he's kind of a bookworm magic user. He is a follower of St. Cuthbert. They've picked up this NPC thief named Furnok, who proved to be pretty useful in the fight against the orcs. He's and you know, he has his own motivations. Boar is obviously out to investigate the whereabouts of his friends, and if he can't find them, then exact vengeance on whoever's responsible, which at this point we're fairly certain is some kind of a gang or organization, you know, whose logo is this flaming eye. Yeah, so our party is a bit injured, and so we're going to rejoin them sort of at the scene of the crime here, and it's midnight. We've just gotten... well, let's actually take one more step back and just do the really exciting part of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, which is ledgers and accounting. So if you're wondering at this point, having had really 3 combat encounters, if you're wondering how close are we to leveling up, the answer is 400 parsecs. We are not even remotely close to leveling up. And that's interesting because if you think about where the party is in the audio drama, we are just finishing episode 2, you know, just extrapolating the amount of interaction we'll probably have in Hommlet, plus the fight with the orcs. I imagine that, if I'm guessing, the next audio podcast episode will likely end with the combat with the orcs, right? So that will be 3 sort of audio episodes of a half an hour each. And at that point, if you can see this my clipboard here, I'm going to move this over. Yeah. That's the XP so far. And so we're just cresting, for at least the player characters who were around from the beginning, which are the kind of the core 3. You know, they're kind of just a hair over like 100 XP. I just realized that I'm completely clueless here and didn't even show you. All right, so here's my clipboard. I mean, I have a clipboard. I'm legitimate. So we're sort of in this range of XP at this point. It's focused okay, I guess. So we're like almost nowhere. And I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like I put a lot of time in, and we have 100 some odd XP. And just to put that in perspective, because this is the actual play portion. Let's see here. just to put that into perspective, like our fastest level up will likely be, it still might be Balding Pot. I was thinking it may be a Herald because he has the 10%. He's one of the 2 PCs that we have that will receive a 10% bonus to experience points. Along with Boar. And the Cleric has a reasonably low experience point threshold to get to level 2, which is 1,500. I guess 1,501 if we're being close. But maybe it'll actually end up being Balding Pot. So Balding Pot, despite not having a 16 dex and catching the bonus, the Thief only requires 1250 to get to 1251. It's the ghost of Gygax smites me. Only requires 1251 to get to 2nd level. So kind of interesting to see how we'll go. And I think the thing that's kind of holding us back at this point is this wasn't necessarily by design, because they were this was actually by design, but I didn't really think about it. The encounters that I had planned, which is it's sort of the canned encounter that gets the party together and rolling in the story, which was this murder in Verbank, and the encounter on the road, which introduces Boar and gives him sort of his motivation moving forward. The Orc one was, of course, random, but all of those encounters really had a pittance of treasure. I even patched the XP because after reading, this can be another interesting topic. So, as far as some errors and omissions go, I didn't realize actually that you can get quote-unquote XP credit for gear and weapons that you find as a result. It's considered treasure. The fine print is that magic items that are retained, you only get 1/10 of the value for them, because the quote-unquote value, so like if you get a dagger, it's worth 2 gold pieces or whatever. Go and look, right? So you're getting the value of the stuff that you get from the monsters, whether the stuff is gold or whether the stuff is a chicken or an ox or a songbird. You're gonna get the XP for it, assuming like you keep it and or you sell it, right? As long as you can bring it back to a resting place. And, this is a little bit open to interpretation, but, typically that would be a town. But anyway, as long as you can bring it back there, you don't just leave it in the woods, then you're supposed to get credit for it, with the exception of magic items. Magic items are, if you keep them, then the PC gets a 1/10 of the item's value. Now, it does say that if you sell them, then you can get that gold. But again, it becomes a little dicey. Like if I for example keep let's just look at some magic items. If I go get, if I go out on an adventure and I find some magic item of value, back to our PDF reader here. If I go out and find I don't know, let's see, it's a good example here. Well, it doesn't really matter, it's got all of them. So I go ahead and find a Rod of Absorption, right? You see these XP values and the gold piece sale values? I want a more simple one here. This is all fucking, insane items. Let me look at old Potion of Healing. Alright, here's the adventurer's best friend, the Potion of Healing. Okay, so when you find a Potion of Healing, that is worth 200, really, it's GPs, because GPs are 1-for-1 with XP. Okay, if you sell it without using it, you get 400, but you don't technically get both, okay? So, but it introduces a little bit of a complication in that if I don't know, let's go to weapons real quick. This is probably the most, this is the most likely example. Let's take our friend the sword +1, okay? So So the sword plus 1 has an XP value of 400. However, if I was to sell it, I could sell it in town, plus or minus some percent, for about 2,000 gold pieces. Okay? No matter what I do, I'm not getting more than 400 XP for it. So in other words, if I immediately sell it, never take it out of the sheath, and get 2,000 gold, I'm not getting 2,000 gold pieces. I'm still just getting 400. So this is kind of a handbrake on getting insane amounts of GP for one fucking, Hand of Vecna. The whole party just goes to 8th level, which again, there's handbrakes in place for not leveling more than once per adventure and all that stuff. But my broader point is that, let's just say I get a sword plus 1 and I get the 400 XP. All right, I use it for a few adventures. Okay, it's a trusty sword, but then all of a sudden I get this fucking sword plus 2 Dragon Slayer, and I no longer need this sword plus 1, but in fact I need the 2,000 gold because I want to buy, a bag of opium. Well, I can sell it. It doesn't really, again, I think everybody's trying to act in good faith, and of course you'd have a dungeon master at the table to adjudicate this, but it doesn't really give you rules to take that XP back later on, if that makes sense. Right, so you see, keep the items. Right? Keep the items. I am keeping it. Right? So, anyway. I figure, again, we're so behind on XP. Should this actually arise, I'll be pretty liberal there. So, I'm not going to, rake back the XP value if a character later sells the magic item. As far as other errors and omissions go, we had some feedback on the YouTube site, which was great. A couple of things that came up were, I guess a couple of things. One is I missed a couple of translations. I missed a couple of translations into the audio drama. Most critically, I missed the spear throw, I believe, was one that I missed. So we had that combat on the road, and we had that burly fighter, and he threw a big old spear. I think he actually hit. I forgot about that in the audio drama. I think in session 3 we had the orc fight, and somebody pointed out that in fact one of the orcs probably should have had a bow. That was correct. The bigger fuck up by far was that we forgot that the fight was at midnight, and so basically the party shouldn't have been able, at least Finn shouldn't have been able to shoot and see in the dark. So, Balding Pot and Garl, of course, have infravision. Finn does not. Finn, thankfully, I believe, missed. So, again, just totally forgot that the encounter took place at midnight. So, probably fucked that up. And then I think the other thing is that, if you look at the monster manual, orcs do have infravision, 60 feet. And Boar, in fact, has infravision. So the orcs should have been able to throw their spears as they close. So that was kind of a shitty mistake. But I can't really do anything about it now. It is what it is. It was a tough fight. And it was a random encounter anyway. But those were some minor fuck-ups, from the last, session. So, okay. So back to our actual play. Let's go ahead and go to our module. Okay, so we are not quite to the moat house yet. To be clear, we are still a little ways away, but we were actually in basically the last hex. So we have this little ways to go, and we are getting from midnight to day. We are getting from midnight to day it will be day 8, okay? Which will be Fire Sec the 5th. So, however, after the encounter with the orcs, well, just a quick party readout as well could be helpful here. We have multiple injuries to the party, and we're just in a position now where basically we tried a couple of healing spells as well, and the rolls didn't go so well. So Finn is at 12 hit points, Garl's at 6 hit points. I should say out of. Really, the way I should say it is that Harold is at 6 out of 9. Spugnoir, of course, is at 4 out of 4. He cowered beneath his shield for most of the fight. Boar is at 9 of 10. Garl is pretty wounded. He's at 6 of 10. Balding Pot is at 6 of 6. He's uninjured. We have, and again, Finn is at 12 of, I believe, 16. Well, yeah, 12 of 16. Let me double check that. He's at 12 of 16. Of course, it's the last character sheet. Of course it would be. Yeah, 12 of 16. Okay. He's at 12 of 16. Furnok's 17 of 18. He's a higher level guy. He's a 4th level thief. So, and we are out of healing spells. So, but I did rule that somebody. So, two things. So they left Hommlet, having really only talked to Turgeon and investigated a little bit around, having interacted a little bit with the town guard, and then basically gone to the Inn and the Welcome Wench and left. So they didn't interact with any of the other notables in Hommlet. At least that's just how I played it. They could have walked to every house and knocked on every door. I get it. But my thoughts were that time was kind of the essence with what Boar wanted to get done. There was no clear... I made a roll to see if Finn knew Jaru Ashstaff, which would have maybe been a logical place for him to go, and it turned out he really didn't. So my ruling there was that he didn't actually go and talk to him. That being said, they were actually being followed. So we really need to try to understand whether or not the person following them will now engage after, let's say, seeing the outcome of this battle with the orcs. And I'll use kind of a standard high-low oracle here, where the higher it's the standard D6 no but, no but, maybe yes but, D6 oracle, which rolls yes and shit, hold on. Oh my god. All right, let me get the dice roller up here. Dice roller, transition. Okay, so we got a 6, so yes and. So, okay, so the person who is following them is an NPC named Kella. Kella, just to jump back and forth between our module. Do I have a screen that has the module and, let's see, the dice tray? That one kind of sucks. I have Overland Travel, I have Hommlet. Alright, well, we'll jump back here for now. We're going to have dice rolls for a second. So, Kella in the module is, in fact, the apprentice or the underling of Jaru Ashstaff. So, the party, as they continue to lick their wounds here and look for a camping spot, are actually confronted by Kella. And Kella has with her a brown bear. So, the party hears the roar of this bear, and which is certainly terrifying, but that is Jaru's bear, and she's been watching them, and at this point lightly following them. She has her own agenda as well, but she is you know, spoilers here. She actually comes up in the module is written. She's kind of always there, but she has a place. If you don't meet her, then you are. So here, just to give you the heads up. So you have Ja Rule, not Ja Rule, not to be confused with Ja Rule, but still holla at Ja Rule here. He is a kind of a high level NPC, and you're encouraged in the module here that he will not accompany a party. He can give aid by spells, yada yada yada. So he's definitely not he's not adversarial, but at the same time he's not going to like directly come and help you. And this is his black bear, who I guess, you know, in AD&D terms, when you're a druid, you eventually do get an animal follower, and Juru is level 7, I think. Yeah, level 7. So, I mean, he's by AD&D standards, this guy's a beast. And he has a couple of really key spells that, you know, if you can befriend him or do something good for him, again, perhaps here impress upon Kella that you are the good guys. He has some doozies that are very useful. Most notably, he has Cure Disease, and he has Neutralize Poison, which can be helpful if you could manage to not die to it. And then he's got the ability to cast some curing spells, but so does Kella. And Kella, in the module, she actually shows up later. I don't think the text search works in here, but let me see. I'll try. Perhaps this PDF program is, yeah, that's what I fucking thought. All right. So Kella appears, spoilers, Kella appears really late. If you don't interact with her in any other way in Hommlet or whatever, then you will find her down here on Believe It or Not. And again, you know, this is the actual play. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. You actually encounter her later on. You encounter her later on in a disguise, right? So spoilers. But she doesn't actually do this until, you know, much later on, because her and Juru are working on something that you know, that will sort of buff her later. So she's a friend of Jaru. So in this context, I'm saying that she's like one of his agents, essentially. So here we are, and the party is interacting with Kella. She comes out of the woods, and let's go ahead and roll a reaction roll here. And as long as it's not grossly unfavorable, I'm gonna play this out as she's going to help them. So let's go back to our Ruins of the Moat House. Bookmark here. Okay. All right. So let's get our dice tray here. Sorry. All right. So just looking at our reaction roll, she is bullish on us because she just saw us, kill a bunch of orcs. There's enough of a rumor around town that we came in and we are not a bunch of bad guys. We brought in some brigands. We also know that we know that Jaru from our prior roles. We know that he knows of the Rangers. He knows that Finn is a Ranger. They just don't have any kind of personal relationship, right? So I think it's reasonable to say that I would give I think it's reasonable to say that we should get at least a plus 30% here. Again, with a we don't really have anybody who has a massive charisma bonus. I think the best one we have is Balding Pots plus 5. Yeah, Balding Pots plus 5. So yeah, that's definitely the best the best one. It's plus, the gentleman's plus 5%. So we'll roll with that. So I'll say 10% for them knowing Finn is a ranger, 10% for, you know, the town, which is a small town. The rumors go fast that, you know, these guys were at least recognized as, not heroes, but, you know, recognized as having done a good deed. And then plus 10% for her sort of seeing that, you know, they fought and killed these marauding orcs from the Dripping Blade. So those are all positives, and then we have Balding Pot with his 5%. So that's plus 35%. That's my ruling, which, you know, maybe I'm just a pushover, but, you know, they could use the help here. So, all right, so 35 plus 38, so 60, 73, so 73%. Okay, so that would mean that she is uncertain, but 55% prone towards positive. All right, so that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and, I guess, roll. All right, so the role play here will be something like she's definitely going to question them, and she's going to ask some probing questions. She's uncertain, but she's pretty sure these are good guys. And so we're saying 55% prone towards positive. So let's add our bonus of 35% to this next roll. So we really need to fumble this badly to not get her to help us out. And we got a 33. I swear we did. Okay. Can you see that? Looks like it's not even focusing. Let me see. Yeah, it's kind of fuzzing out. There it goes. Okay, 33. Okay. So, if I'm interpreting this correctly, I'm trying to roll under. This is like so brutal. This is brutal AD&D. The rule is saying, you know, so when you first make the encounter reaction roll, you're trying to roll high and adding all your modifiers, and then it gives you this other thing here that just says 55% prone towards positive. You know, so does that mean you add it to your roll? Does it mean you're trying to then roll under 55? I don't fucking know. So, yeah, whatever. It's kind of a nightmare. Maybe the DMG actually tells us something here. I'll take a quick look at reactions. Yeah. Again, this is the fun part, right? Yeah, so in terms of moving around, encounters, nothing, not a thing. We get this amazing, you know, we get flying mount, right? All super useful. Anything's gonna happen here? No. Guess we can go back to the index. Let's see the glossary. All right, hold on. Oh man, I love this book so much. As much as I rip Rifts for having no index, you know. Yeah, let's see if we get encounters. Reaction. Nope. Encounter reactions. Fucking A. All right, so page 63. So let's do page 63-ish. Okay, so $65, $64, $63. All right, so we basically get the same thing we get in the adventure log here. Doesn't really tell us how to. It doesn't really tell us that we're actually gonna what to do with that 55%, unless it's just a roll under 55%. Well, I'll tell you what, I rolled a 33. So if it's roll under, we're good. And then if it's add 55% to your roll, and then recheck the table, either way, we're good. Right? So, all right. I feel like I'm not being a softie here. All right. So Kella immediately walks up and says, you know, after some interaction with him, you know, Finn says, hey, we are, you know, first of all, they're terrified of the bear to start with. And once she emerges, I'll say he recognizes her as a druid immediately. And so he kind of calms everybody down. And at that point, he says, you know, maybe somebody makes a snide comment about how they could have used her help 10 minutes ago. But essentially, she says, hey, you know, I have been following you, but I have my own business here. The first thing she says is that I know where the moat house is as well. I've been monitoring it. Never mind the fact that she hasn't stormed it with an army of heroes and cleaned it out, but we'll get over that. She does say that she has a resting place, which is a cave, which is up on a hill overlooking this kind of lowland swamp and marsh area where the moat house is. So this will be a safe place for them to rest for the remainder of the evening. The other thing that Kella has is that she has access to healing magic. So again, the reaction roll went okay. So we are going to rule that she'll burn against midnight. So Harold already burned his 2 healing spells. We'll go ahead and rule that she'll burn her 2 healing spells. And the first one will be on Finn himself for a measly 2 hit points. Second one will be on likely Garl, who will be brought back to his maximum hit points. Okay. Alright, leaving only really Harold significantly below his starting total, 6 to 9. So she blows a couple of healing spells, which she happened to have memorized. So in the adventure, by the time you meet her, like many leagues later, she's like a high-level druid. I was kind of figuring that she'll advance along kind of with the players by the time, if they're fucking alive, by the time they get to the 4th level of the dungeon of the Temple of Elemental Evil, which seems highly unlikely and might happen fucking, you know, by 10 years from now in real Earth time. You know, I was going to rule that she was, actually we can roll for this. I was going to rule she was at least 3rd level, because for her to be 9th by the time they get there means she has to be probably around 3rd. So let's say she's 3rd plus 1d4 levels right now, which would give her a maximum of 7. Fuck me, I can't see it. Well, alright, so she's 4, 7. Yeah, I realize that's, yeah, the d4s on the camera are kind of a failure. Yeah, overall, I don't know what's up with this camera here. Let me, this is some riveting television. Let me go over here to the Logitech app. Yeah, so we can get the get this camera over here. I'll do a little work on it after a second. But you like this music? All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna try to get this to focus in a little bit better. Maybe I'll actually try to figure out a way to to fucking cut this out because this is just fucking miserable. All right. So we have this Logitech Brio. Awesome. All right, well, we'll figure that out later, and I'll try to cut that out. If I don't cut it out, it means that you're hearing me say that I'm going to cut it out, but it meant that I actually didn't cut it out, which is probably more likely because editing video here is a fucking pain in the ass. So, okay, so she does have, as a back to our game of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and not IT desktop support, fucking Office Space. So, as a 4+3 7th level druid, she's pretty loaded with spells. You know, I'll say, all right, so 7th level druid, pretty boss. So she would have had, which makes sense anyway, she would have had 3 first level spells, 2 of which could have been Cure Light Wounds. I wouldn't imagine she would memorize all of them. And she would also have a 4th level spell, which, for druids, there are some bombs. You can see here. She does have a Cure Serious. So how about even odd? You know, her 4th. Well, here we have 12. You know, what fucking spells would she reasonably have memorized at 4th level as she walked into the woods? How about high? She would have Cure Light Wounds. Low, Cure Serious Wounds, sorry. Low, she would have some other fucking spell that will roll randomly. So 4, 5, 6, she'll have Cure Light Wound, or Cure Serious Wounds, sorry. She does not. She instead has memorized, well, I'll just do the 12 here. 8, which is, she thought this morning when she woke up, she said, you know what? I need to make sure today I memorize Plant Door. So 8, Plant Door. So while wizards at third level are shooting fireballs, druids are memorizing Plant Door. So you can see, up there with repel insects. Okay, so she has in fact has Plant Door, and I don't really think there's any other spell that she would have. Our Cure Light Wounds is a 2nd level spell for druids. Okay, did I completely fuck that up? Does she at least have 3 2nd level spells to gift us? She does. Okay, she has 3. Question. No, druids can't spontaneously convert with my house rule. I will rule that right now because that should be a cleric only thing. Again, it comes with some risk. I mean, druids are pretty good overall anyway. They do get the they're clerics. Fuck, where's druids? Druid. Did I fuck this up? Where's the druids? 4, 4, 3, 1. Yeah. So their spell progression is fine. In fact, they get 2 out of the gates. So, and they are clerics, so there's nothing in here that says that they don't get the wisdom bonus, right? Nothing in here says that they also don't get the cleric wisdom bonus, because the bonus there, and again, we don't have a druid in the party, so I'm not sure it's that germane, but like the bonus for your spells is for clerics. Druids are clerics. So assuming she has a high enough wisdom score, which we can figure out probably by looking at her stats or whatever. For now, it doesn't really matter. She would get any spell bonuses. So, okay. All that to say, she said she had 2 Cure Light Wounds. Okay. So the other thing that we're going to have to figure out is whether or not she wants to give any additional aid to Finn. So, in the narrative and in the role play, she's not going to reveal too much. So she's just sitting there in this cave. So they get a fire together, a couple Cure Light Wounds, a little bit of porridge, drink some water, bed down for the night. This bear is just kind of sitting there in the background. And Kella is going to, talk to Finn for a bit. and say, you know, what are you guys doing? I would say, again, the reaction was pretty positive, but let's roll another reaction roll to see if she's willing to do anything above and beyond after the conversation to aid them, right? So, you know, will she give them a scroll or a magic item or really any kind of help, right? So the adventure is hamstringing us here, saying, you know, we're not going to get any actual aid, but a 44 is not awful. You know, we'll say, we'll say uncertain. You know, so I don't think that's enough to get her to give them a magic item necessarily. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Okay, so the party will go ahead and sleep off this. They'll gain... They will naturally heal, I believe, 1 hit point, or I may be thinking of basic there. Let's see, healing, natural. What do you think? Boot Hill, it's good we have that. The ongoing campaign, 6 guns and sorcery, okay. Handling troublesome players. Probably down here in hit points, around page 82, I'm thinking. Possibly. Let's try that before we give up. Before we give up. Character age, aging, disease, death. Do we have any insanity tables? I'm sure we do. I don't think the player's handbook has it. Well, we can see. I doubt it, though. I mean, there's so little in here that actually tells you how to run the game. Okay, let's check this first then. So 105 is healing. Could be. Example of combat, which is one of the worst examples in the history. Okay, there are numerous ways to restore lost hit points. The most mundane is resting. So day of rest, a hit point. After 30 days, hit points accrue at 5. And then we have like kind of all the magic stuff. So a day of rest. Oh God. Jesus. Does that mean that night's sleep is 1 hit point? Day of rest. That means like a 24-hour rest to get a hit point back. That is brutal. Alright, for now I'm going to say sure. I don't know if that's right or not. I'll double check. Sorry, I burped. Alright, 15. Garl, good. Baldy, good. Harold, back to 7. Is anybody else even hurt? 4. Lost a hit point. Back up to 10. Furnok back up to 18. Okay. Yeah, okay. So they're going to go ahead and rest and wake up. And really the only decisions we have to make now would be, you know, what does Spugnoir want to do with his life? And what does Harold want to do with his life with respect to memorizing spells? So, you know, my take here would be, I mean, at this point, Harold's scared straight. You know, he's now undergone a few combats, and he finally actually just got ripped a little bit in this last combat with the orcs. So my take is that he is likely to want to memorize probably the maximum amount of Cure Light wounds that he can. We actually did establish that Spugnoir has a spell book. Oh. So yeah, this is just, you know, clerics can spontaneously, I wrote down my house rules on spontaneous casting here, and I'll post them on CompuServe. Clerics can spontaneously convert any spell of level 1, 2, or 3 into Cure Light Wounds with a Wisdom check. They can convert level 4 through 7 to Cure Serious Wounds with a Wisdom check. If the Wisdom check is failed, they lose the spell. My only house rules on magic or magic users is that the following spells are hereby reduced to level 0 spells for the purposes of making the game not a piece of shit. Affect Normal Fires, Erase, Find Familiar, Mending, Read Magic, and the eternal powerhouse game-breaking spell, Right. Okay, level 0 spells can be cast with 1 turn, meaning about 10 minutes, of concentration. Or, if you want to be able to cast them with their normal segments casting time, then you can memorize them as a first level spell. But they're considered to be cantrips, right? Mending, like you take 2 pieces of string and you tie them together as a magical trick. No one would ever memorize that as a first level spell, I think, ever. It's laughable, right? So those have been demoted, I guess is the best way of putting it. And actually, if you look at the spell tables, you know, it's kind of wonky anyway that the first level, sorry, magic users. It's a little wonky anyway that the first level magic user spells. What the fuck? Oh my god. Alright, please. Okay. It's kind of... Bro. It's at least a little wonky, I think, that magic user... You notice something weird about the tables? And again, I'd be interested to hear... Oh, God. Why is my face in the way of this? I hate you so much, the internet. Alright. This one's... There are 30 first level spells, which is a little odd. And a lot of them are good. I mean, I'm not saying like they all suck. I am saying though that it's pretty obvious to me that 6 of them suck bad and you'd never memorize them. Right? So why not just move those to 0 and then have all the tables be 24 spells? And again, the 6 obvious ones to me that just will never get memorized for any... And there are some ones that are awful, but there's still a reason to memorize them. Like, Jump's pretty terrible, but I'm fine with it being a level 1 spell. Anyway, so those 6 again are Affect Normal Fires, Erase, Find Familiar, Mending, Read Magic, and Write, and I will post those on the Genie dial-up forums. But back to actual Spugnoir. We didn't really talk a lot about his spell book when he joined the party, but we did roll him up as a PC. And I did randomly roll, and so in addition to those cantrips, he has Light, Shield, Spider Climb, Burning Hands, Charm Person, Identify, Hold Portal, and Detect Magic. So, those are all pretty good spells. He happened to have Shield memorized when I randomly rolled. He had Shield memorized on the morning of. So this next morning, it's interesting. So I think the presumption here is that they will. So Kella has told them they are pretty close to. They're an hour's walk from the moat house. They're gonna have to go walk down a hill, kind of past this swamp that surrounds the moat house, and then over to the moat house. So I really think at this point. So another thing is that Spugnoir comes with some scrolls. So he actually has a scroll of Hold Portal, Shield, Detect Magic, and a Potion of Healing. So he's actually got some goods in addition to his leather backpack and 3 daggers and his fucking chalk and bag of marbles. So he has some items that are, could be helpful here, including the Potion of Healing and some other stuff as an NPC. But I think it makes sense, perhaps. So, all right. So, what do we know about what we're about to encounter? Well, we know there are a bunch of human brigands. I think, honestly, at this point, he would probably memorize Charm Person. So, I'm going to have him memorize Charm Person, which is a good spell for sure. Great spell. And then, as far as Herald goes, Herald is going to go ahead and memorize think he doesn't have a healing potion. He has his holy symbol and some oil flasks and a cookie pot. Man, he's got 3 first level spells. I'll tell you what, after seeing the fucking misery of getting slashed, you know, I think honestly he's probably going to memorize. I hate to memorize 3 Cure Light Wounds. It's just so fucking lame. Let's do. How about he'll do command. Command worked for him, right? Command worked. So I think we'll go with Cure Light Wounds, command again. And then as they rest for the morning, they wake up, they eat breakfast with Kella, they have a cheerful dialogue with her. I'll say 4, 5, 6, she offers up one of her cure spells after she does her morning prayers. Okay, she does. So that would be... I take that back. Is anybody else even injured? Oh, Harold is. Okay, so Harold's at 7. Fuck me. Alright, so Harold's back up to full. So that's a pretty good morning. Harold's back up to 9 with his Constitution bonus. Okay. Alright, so maybe you think I'm a fucking softie or whatever, but... yeah, maybe you think I'm a softie. But, you know, I don't see any reason why she wouldn't offer one of her healing spells, knowing these heroes are essentially about to, you know, potentially sacrifice themselves for the greater good of the village of Hommlet and the greater Furiani area. So we're going to go to day 8 here. We're going to go to day 8. Trusty notebook. We're going to go to day 8, and what a day it is. So I was thinking too, you know, should I go to, you know, should we be doing weather and other things? Some of the other podcasts do that, which I think is smart. So I think it could make some sense for us to do weather. And I had a chart from, I forget where it's from. I think it's from Sandbox Generator. Let me grab Sandbox Generator here. So we have day 8, which is the 5th of Fire Sec. The 5th day of Fire Sec, day 8. Okay. And let me grab my weather table. I have Sandbox Generator behind me here. Sorry for flipping around. Oh. Sandbox Generator. Go buy it. I'll put a link. I probably won't ever put a link, but Google it. It's great. All right, so Sandbox Generator. I think, as I just talked shit about it, I thought it had a weather thing, but maybe it doesn't. I also have some funky weather dice too. Adventures at Sea. I could have sworn this thing had a weather table. Oh god, I suck at fucking playing Dungeons and Dragons. Let's see here. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know why I thought this had weather. It's got layers, fame, activities. I was thinking of Maze Rats. Shit. Alright. Well, it doesn't have weather. Alright, maybe don't buy it, honestly. Just tell them to put a fucking weather table in there and charge a little more. Yeah, maybe Maze Rats. Maze Rats is another good, really cool book. It's got a lot of tables. But I'm about to tell you that I'm about to tell you that it doesn't actually have a. It does have an insanity table, which is cool. Not as cool as. Not as cool as some games. No. Alright. So despite that, does the DMG have a random weather table? Gary did load us up with fucking 5 appendix A through P. Right? Creating a party. I can't remember whether or not it has weather or not, but let's look. I know it obviously has the legendary random dungeon generator. It has the legendary Appendix N. It has the legendary outdoor wilderness. I'll double check to make sure 173 doesn't have a random weather generator. Climate could be 87. Maybe 87. 58, 87, all could be interesting spots to double check. 58, let's go from 58 forward. So 58. Nothing about weather. It doesn't even really talk about weather affecting movement. It just talks about the terrain. 87 could be another spot to look, so let's check that out. Climate and ecology. You know, it's basically telling you all. You know what? I'll bet you dollars to fucking donuts. I bet you that the weather tables are not in the DMG, but they are in fact in. I bet you they are in the Wilderness Survival Guide. I bet you they are. I can see them being in that fucking book. Here's the Wilderness Survival Guide by Kim Mohan. First of all, what a cover. That looks like a fucking ogre or some kind of like giant grabbing a halfling and a fighter and a dwarf. What does this dwarf have? This dwarf has a grappling hook. This fighter's got a sword and a fucking super cool helmet. This halfling is about to get eaten. What a killer cover. I love. Is that Jeff Easley? Yeah, it's Jeff Easley. Okay. So let's just check this out real quick, because I have a feeling this thing might actually have a weather generator. And then we'll know it's here, and then I won't have to actually... have to... have this misery anymore. So... looking here, we got a bunch of tables. I would think it would be a table, right? Man. Here's what's fucking really shitty. I have a die that's just like an 8-sided die that has a bunch of random weather. And I would love to use the official AD&D method. But since this is a exercise in misery... All right, well, let's give this a shot. I mean, I've read this thing, which is crazy. This convention is not intended to offend or exclude female characters for players. I thought all these guys were just raging misogynists, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, let's see here. We have climate. This is one of the less impressive pieces of art, but yeah, we have climate. I don't really see any tables. We have some slots here. Fishing. We're fishing. We're going to dress for the weather. Again, this is useful, but we're kind of headed towards winter here in temperate. We know we're in a temperate climate. We know it's nearing the winter. It's great that we have the effects, so I could just declare that the temperature is cold and apply these modifiers, which I'm not going to do. You want to talk about absolute carnage. I mean, imagine trying to intersect the armor that the individual characters are wearing, and then apply temperature, to a factor of their armor plus their intersected with their constitution, intersected with their level. Yeah, I mean, this is both at the same time amazing and sort of miserable. So, while I respect Kim Mohan, I believe it's a him, and his work here, I think that this is in fact useless. Because all I really want is a random weather generator. Yeah, this is miserable. So maybe if somebody in the comments can actually show me the official canon AD&D weather generator, I would be inclined to perhaps use it. But given the fact that this is now a 15-minute exercise in misery, we are going with my weather die. Sorry everybody. We're gonna go with the weather die. So, in case you can't see that, that is a temperature thermometer, sort of empty. So there's a temperature thermometer empty and full. It means it's getting a little cooler. So it's actually getting a little colder. So I'm gonna write that it's a little colder than the day before, and then we'll just use this weather generator from here on out. We'll use the dice until somebody shows me a weather generator that's official AD&D canon. All right, so day 8, colder, and it is Fire Sec the 5th, which is our Greyhawk month. The 5th, and we are healed up. We memorize. Spugnoir memorizes Charm Person. Harold memorizes Cure Light Wounds ×2, and he had a good experience with Command. And then we're going to go ahead and head down a little bit closer to the moat house, and we will return to our adventure here. That was fun, right? All right, so in addition to all this insane exposition, you have this. Let's go ahead and get into the swamp here. Is there some kind of like swamp music? What about these pagan woods? Let's see. All right. All right, so that's a little foreboding. What about a forgotten forest? Let's try that one. Okay, so it says a scrub of thorns, thistles, weeds, and shrubs grows thickly along the edge of the track which leads to the ruins, right? So you're headed down this this path here, and it eventually starts to get a little more washed out, and there's a mire, and there's this game trail, and eventually it banks down, and you end up in this swampy kind of pool. So you're saying here that after about 2 miles, the track turns more northerly, the land begins to sink and become more boggy. So we're coming down from this hill where we rested, and now we're really into this tall marsh, and this wetland is now kind of entrenched on either side, and we're near the entrance of the ruins, so we can see it here. The bogs stink. The vegetation appears dense and prolific, but somehow sickly and unhealthy. Creepers and vines throwing their strangling loops over the skeletons of dead saplings and living bushes alike. The rushes and cattails rustle and bend, even to a slight zephyr, and weird bird calls, croakings. It's foreshadowing, and other unwholesome sounds come faintly across the fen. Okay. Pretty sure actually we have a swamp here. There's tabletop audio. See if we get swamp. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Swamplandia. Here we go. Oh yeah. All right. So, okay. There is a planned encounter here, and the dungeon master is instructed as follows. Obviously, the following encounters challenge a party of 5 to 8 characters of first or second level. If fewer characters are present, or if second level characters are lacking, one or none. In this case, we have one, Furnok. The DM should decrease the number of monsters accordingly, first omitting one of the larger creatures, then the smaller, leaving one large monster at all times. Do not, however, add to the number. So it gives you these really specific instructions. And this is the infamous party-killing, legendary TPK-generating frog encounter. And in this case, the characters aren't mounted. And so you're basically being instructed here to roll 1d6, and we're saying that these giant frogs are going to surprise the party on a result of 1 to 4. And they are going to leap from their lurking places in the tall weeds to a maximum of 12 inches. Okay, so that would be maximum of 120 feet away. They attack madly, for they are voraciously hungry at all times. So on the one hand, Gary/Frank, I mean, this is really Gary's, this is still Village of Hommlet, this is really Gary's adventure. The two larger, so they're saying here essentially, okay, you should decrease the larges to 1, but you're going to always get at least 1 large frog. And then we're going to say the 6 giant frog, right? So there are 6 giant frogs. Basically, Gary's saying if it's a smaller number or weaker party, one of them, only one should be large, okay? And then I believe 5 are small, okay? So at the same time, he's telling you to be reasonable here. On the other hand, he's saying, they have this ridiculous tongue attack, and then he gives you a handbrake here for added fun. They can swallow elves and halflings if they roll a 20. So man, be cool. Be cool, but by the way, if they get a 20, your halfling in the party is just fucking swallowed. So I guess we'll see if that happens. But this is a planned encounter. It sort of has to happen. What he is saying here is that being that the party is weak, we should only be dealing with one of the large frogs, okay, which are 2 hit dice monsters. So I guess even odds, high the whatever, man. One's got 13, one's got 10. High is good for the party, so high, the 10 hit pointer is the one that we're dealing with. It is. Okay. So the other one will just end up being a so we're going to be dealing with the 10 hit pointer, and then I'll just dupe one of these small frogs to fill in for the lost frog. We'll convert one of the largest to a small. Okay, so let's go ahead and quickly set this up. Now, the only thing I take issue with here is that he has this baked in, you're surprised on 1 to 4. But remember, we have a ranger, right? So this is a lot of text dedicated to this encounter. Saying that roll 1d6, 6 giant frogs hear and surprise intruders on a result of 1 to 4. So he's kind of overriding the surprise rules here. Fuck it. We'll just follow it as is. Hey, fuck off, frogs. Oh, fuck. The rolling tray. We got a 5, so we're not surprised, which is great. Okay, so the max distance here is, he's saying 12 inches. which kind of jogs with which definitely makes sense. So we're outdoors, and it's saying that the party distance, will be d6 plus 4. But he's saying he's capping it in the module. Yeah, he's capping it in the module. He's capping it in the module here at 112 inches, which is 120 feet. So, which is interesting because I'm seeing it here as d6 plus 4. So we're gonna get 2 plus 4 is 6 inches is 60 feet. All right, frog time, hammer time. You might be asking yourself, DM that leads, should the party flee? And I'm going to rule that they're not going to flee. And also, I think that just the way that this encounter is set up in the module, it's just intended that your party eats this module, or sorry, eats this encounter. And it's a famous encounter for those of you. I mean, I've run this in pen and paper multiple times, multiple systems. And it's kind of a legendary encounter as far... You know what? Even the video game version of Temple of Elemental Evil, the frog encounter is kind of legendary for being brutal and resulting in the death of many a character. So here we go. Frogs. All right, so I have our party sheet here. And I have our... Actually, I think I have the frogs already done. I do, in fact, have the frogs already done. So we'll go ahead and move this out of the way real quick. We rolled 60 total feet, right? So let's go ahead and just kind of straighten this out. I've got a little OCD here as far as this being aligned with the camera. Okay. Here's our party. Let me double check. Garl, Baldy, Finn, Harold, Boar. We're missing, we got Furnok, and I think this was a stand-in for Spugnoir, this yodely guy here. Okay. We don't have orcs. Orcs are long dead. Let's get all these guys off the rip here. You may be asking yourself, do you have any frogs? DM Ned leads. Do you have any frogs? The answer is, does a frog shit in the woods? All right, yeah, I have some frogs. So we need one giant frog, and then because Gary's being kind to us, we're gonna have 5 other frogs, which I think I've got 5 frogs, but who knows? Frog. 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 Oh, do I have 5 frogs? Oh boy. Oh boy. I do. The last time that I ran the Temple of Elemental Evil was for Pathfinder beta of their 1.0 rules. And it's pretty interesting. They literally almost died. And their ranger, I don't want to jinx these guys. They actually did have a ranger in that party. And they almost died. Absolutely almost died to the deadly frogs in the pool. So let's go ahead and get a dry erase here. Got it. So we said 60 feet, right? So so we're gonna just assume that they said there was this deer trail, right? This deer trail, which is kind of running along here, And then we're going to say that the frog's splooshing from the left. I don't want to like immediately flank the party. I think that's kind of cruel. But let's just assume they're over here. And so we'll end up with 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So there's 60 out. Let me move them up a little bit just so we can get them on the camera here. Thankfully, we weren't surprised, right? So we'll say they're a combination. And then this is the trail, essentially. And so I assume, you know, we have marching orders. So we got Boar. We'll have Garl bring up the rear along with Harold. And we'll have Finn. We'll have Finn and Boar kind of up front. Kind of a standard D&D marching order. We'll have these softies here kind of in the middle. Okay, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. This is roughly 60 feet out. Okay, so the first thing that we will need to do here is round one, we will roll for initiative. We will roll for initiative, and so we are doing, of course, bad guys are red, good guys are blue. Pretty key roll here. Okay, so we're going to actually get to go first by a gentleman's segment. Oh, sorry. So we weren't surprised. Let's think about this. We weren't surprised. And we weren't surprised, but all right, sorry, I paused it. All right, so we're set up here. You may be asking yourself also, like, oh, it's a frog, DM Ned Leeds. What's the fucking problem? I think one of the main issues, if I recall, it's been a minute. Yes. Okay. So in AD&D, this frog is the giant one. Sorry. So the reason that if you have two giant ones, you're just going to bust up you potentially just crush up a weak party. They're HD2 monsters, which I believe is a step up. It's like a 2 Thaco improvement from your normal shit-stained monster. So yeah, so a 2 hit die monsters Thaco jump from 18 to 16. So there is no 17. There is no spoon. There is no 17 here in this progression. Just kind of a beating. I'm pretty sure second edition changed that. But so this big one is going to attack it with a Thaco of 16. Okay. And again, it does 1d6 damage. Pretty, not insane, but again, that Thaco I think is the thing that really makes it dangerous. So that guy's got 10 hit points, and we've got a bunch of smaller frogs, which are less of a problem. But again, there's 5 of them. 5 again because we switched one of the bigs to one of the smalls. So okay, thankfully the party has initiative, and so spellcasting here I think is unlikely to happen, as they are charming a frog while interesting is not effective. Command obviously wouldn't work here. So they are within 60 feet, however, and so we know we do have missile weapons at the ready. So I think probably our missile guys here will fire their missiles. Yeah, our missile guys will fire our missiles. So that would be Garl, Balding Pot. All right, so round one. Round one, frog fight. Party wins initiative. I think Finn will fire his crossbow at the... at this point, this one frog is so obviously so much bigger. It's probably absurd to assume that he wouldn't fire at the large frog. Right. So Finn will go ahead and shoot at the largest frog with his crossbow. This will be short range. since we're at about 60 feet. I guess the only other thing we could maybe say is that they're in the reeds, okay? And that's what the module says. They're in these reeds, right? So I'm going to rule that they'll get, I think that's a +2. So I call it like partial cover. I think it's reasonable to assume that these reeds are providing some kind of concealment, so that gives a +2 bonus here. So we're going to say that their AC's 5. I think that's fair. Okay, so Finn, got everything. Okay, you can see my die roll, right? Yeah, all right, nice. 17. 17 is going to hit an AC3 with Finn's Thaco of 20, so that will hit that lead frog. So he is using his his heavy crossbow, so that's 1d4 plus 1. Oh, frog is large. Eat shit, frog. All right, 3 plus 1 is 4. All right, so giant frog. We got that guy had 10 hit points, right? Yeah, he did. So he's down to 6. And then we have a number of other frogs here. So we have 4. Oh, Jesus. All right. Yeah, we have 4, 4, 4, 7. I got them up here. I'm fucking screwing up my sheet here. All right. So giant frog goes from 10 to, he just ate 4. It goes to 6. All right. And then we have frog, normal frog, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They've already generated the hit points for us. 4, 4, 7, 6, and then I just need to figure out the hit dice of the replacement frog, the replacement killer's frog. His name is Chow Yun Frog. Chow Yun Frog here has 5 hit points. Okay, so that was Finn. That was his action. So now he'll have to reload next round. This is actually probably going to work out fine. The fact that they got fucking lucky. So the fact that they didn't get surprised was pretty massive here. And they did not get surprised and they won the initiative. So this is going to be, I think, kind of brutal for these frogs, which once again is a problem. So unfortunately for Garl, however, they're past the short range of a short bow, so it's going to be 60 feet, just out of short range. So it's actually going to be pretty rough. So medium is -2, the AC bonus. I'm just going to actually just apply it to the roll. So it's going to be -4 to his roll. Yeah, so he'll miss badly. Balding Pot will go, and again, same drill here. It's going to be medium range, and they're in the reeds. So -4. So that'll be 8. 20 minus 8 is 12. That'll miss pretty badly. And that's really it for... So I would argue that Boar has a couple of spears with him at this point. I updated his character sheet. His character record sheet. Shout outs to Solo Dungeon Crawler. So his character record sheet is updated. He does have a couple of spears. I guess he wouldn't necessarily have them in his hand. He would have been kind of carrying his sword unless I would have said otherwise. So, but I think he's not moving, and these rounds are like 1-minute rounds. I think it's reasonable to say that he could pull a spear out. Now, the spear is going to be, it's going to be at long range anyway. So I really don't think he would necessarily even do that. So the move on these frogs then is 3 inches, which is 30 feet, or this 9-inch movement, which I believe is a jump, some kind of a leap. It could be swim. Doesn't really even say here. Let's see. 9 would be pretty fast. I think it's their swim rate. How about we split the difference and say it's 6? Because I think I can look them up in the monster manual, but I'm pretty sure that's it. So Everybody else is kind of going to hold here. We don't really, nobody else is really in range. And so I think the frogs will cruise through the weeds and reeds here and head over. All right. Frogs. The frogs will close. Am I doing this right? So their movement says 9. Maybe the monster manual has. Let's see real right quick here. The monster manual. I would hate to give these frogs any additional advantage. So let me just check that quick as shit. All right. Monster manual. Let's just be sure here. There's only one way to be sure. The only way to be sure. Do good from orbit. All right. Is this one of bookmarks? Nice. What do you think the chance of these things being? Oh my God, giant frog. Okay, here is the fucking villain of the week. Giant frog. Right, so he's saying, okay, so he's saying 3-9, that's consistent. So he's saying they're actually 1 to 3 hit dice, so we could actually have a larger frog. He's saying they're small to medium. All right, well, I may have screwed that up then. Basically, I think he's saying that there's no way they can be large. These frogs don't have psionics, in case you were wondering if they were going to emerge from the swamp and unleash Ego Whip on the party. That will, in fact, not be happening. Okay, so... Okay, and he's... Okay, I see what he's saying here. So you can see the slash marks. That was a little small. 1d3, 1d6, and then if you had a 3 to hit die frog, it would be doing 2 to 8, which is interesting. Okay, so back to the movement question. What exactly is the slash representing here? I think it is the leaping distance. They obviously don't fly, and they obviously don't burrow, so I don't think that's swim. I don't know, but then he's saying because their coloration, these creatures can leap up to 18 inches in an attack. To attack. Which is bonkers. That's 180 feet. Okay. What the fuck? I mean, there's no fucking way a frog... What are we talking about here? Okay. So you're just going to leap up to 180 feet to attack? Giant frog has a tongue, yada, yada, yada. But so the 18 he's quoting here doesn't actually correlate with this 9 inches. So maybe that is swimming then. I think the fact that a frog could jump 180 feet, if you just think about how insane that seems, I think we're going to probably disregard that. All right, but I'm going to split the difference here. I don't want to really belabor this point anymore, Ribbit, that the 9, maybe the 9 is swimming, I know for things like, oh my God, yeah, this is tedious as shit. I know for things that have flight, then that mode would be listed there. But like here's an air elemental, right? It says move 36. It doesn't actually have double modes. A freet is move 9, move 24. So again, I think that means 9 walk, 24 fly. Oh boy, dude, freets will just fucking destroy you, dude. I mean, you are just fucking dude. He's 10 hit dice. He's coming to absolutely destroy you. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're just gonna call it. Let's see what maybe the double slash has. Oh my God, Gary, you are the man. Yes, double slash means swimming because reasons. That's right. I knew slash was flying. I just couldn't remember that double slash was swimming. Why wouldn't I? Why? What's wrong with me? Why wouldn't I know that double slash means swimming? Why wouldn't I remember that parentheses is burrowing, right? That makes sense. Isn't it obvious that star means web? Okay, good. So that means swimming. So in this case, they're not actually swimming. In this case, they are walking. However, Gary's saying they can leap 180 feet. So, I think it's, just to keep things challenging and competitive, then I think it makes sense that they would be able to make it out of the reeds and engage this round. So, frog, and they're coming in from the side here, which is not in our party's best interest. But I'll say the folks that did nothing that first round, so who fired? It was Balding Pot, Finn. Boar can absolutely position himself, so they didn't attack. The cleric also can position himself. Garl shot. Furnok here is going to be a sneaky bastard. Regarding the side, and fucking Spugnoir wants nothing to do with this shit. He's regretting all of his life decisions at this point. All right, so these frogs all move up. So now we're in our AD&D melee scrum here. All right, so the party is moderately. Let's see, it's 7 on 6. 7 on. Yeah, so the party isn't quite outnumbered. So I'm not going to rule that the frogs are going to be able to get a flank or anything like that. But initiative is certainly important here. Since we have, Frogtopia. All right, initiative. So before initiative, no spellcasting. Whoosh. All right. Lucky once again. So we will act on 4. They will act on 5. Okay, so we know the big frog is injured because we saw a crossbow bolt go into its hide. So we will. I'm going to start off with Boar just because he's kind of our best attacker. His Thaco is 20, but remember he gets a plus 1 to hit and a plus 3 to damage. And he will be attacking with his Zweihander. All right. That's a gentleman's 8. Plus the 1 is a 9. Minus his Thaco of 20 is an 11. That will miss. So Finn at this point has exchanged his crossbow for his longsword. And he will swing on. He'll swing on this smaller frog in front of him. And he gets a plus 1 to hit and damage from his 17 strength. So 16 is actually a 17. 17 will hit AC 3, which will hit one of these frogs. I will randomly determine which frog this is on the chart here, going north-south. 4, 4, 7, 6, 5 are the hit point totals. So it's the 4th frog in the list, which is the one with 6 hit points. So he's hitting frog number 4 for 1d8 plus 1. Holy shit. 9. Froggeddon. Okay, so that frog is murdered. He murders the 4th frog. All right. So Finn hit Quarrel with crossbow. Round 1. Everybody else miss. Round 2. Boar miss. Finn hit 9 damage. Kill. Ouch. Sure. I guess it was this one. Sorry, buddy. All right, he's dead. We've got. So we have Balding Pot. We have. I don't think it's realistic to think that our thieves at this point are necessarily going to be able to get around a backstab, especially in like this first round. They're also kind of trying to protect each other here. But let's just say Harold will try to swing on the large frog. A 2 will not hit. Let's say Garl will melee this frog. 18 will hit. Garl is using his spear. 6. So which frog was that? Let's figure that out. He's about to do 6 damage to a frog. We only have 4 small frogs left. Be the fourth one, that one that we converted from the large frog who had 5 hit points. So Garl will hit frog number 5 and kill him with 6 points. Nice work, Garl. All right, so round 2. Boar miss, Finn 9. Harold, as usual, miss. Garl, hit, 6 damage, kill a frog. Okay, we've got... Man, we have Furnok. I'm not sure Furnok's fucking... He's wondering what he's doing here as well. I'll say he's gonna wheel around and try to stab this frog with his dagger. So his Thaco is still a 20, but he has a +1 dagger. Ooh, that'll hit. 19. 4. 2 + 1 is 3 damage, and we will figure out what frog that is. It's going to be the first frog, so he hits the frog 1 for 3 damage. Furnok, hit, 4 damage. Frog 1. Okay, Balding Pot is going to go here. I don't know if he's particularly interested in this big frog. He I think would gang up with Garl and Furnok and all the other rogues over here and take a stab at this guy. So he's going to wheel around in this long 1-minute round. He's going to attack that same frog that Furnok hit, and he will miss with a 3. BPG, miss. Okay, I think Spugnoir is fucking gonna probably back off into the weeds here. Okay. Frogs are up. Alright, so Giant Frog is being confronted by both Boar and Harold. Hi, he attacks Harold. He does. He attacks Harold. His Thaco is 16. Oh my gosh, that's a hit. He does 1d6. Yikes. 6 fucking damage. Is he dead? No, he had 9 hit points. Sweet Jesus. Harold's down to 3. So he just... I mean, this frog just fucking bodies Harold. Alright, let's start over here. This frog is going to go ahead and attack. And the rest of the frogs are the rest of the frogs are 1-hit die monsters, which I believe is 19, yeah. That'll miss. Second frog on, let's see, high, low, high, Boar, low, Finn. High, Boar, okay. Attacks Boar. 2 will miss everything in the world. Frog over here will attack Garl. Nat 20, the frog will hit. They do 1d3 damage. Ow, 3 damage on Garl. Alright, so Giant Frog hit Harold for freaking 6. This turned out badly. Frog, miss. Boar, Finn, and then frog hit. Jesus. Hit Garl for 3. And that is brutal. So Garl's down to 7. Oh, bro. Alright, last frog. Yeah, I'll do high, he attacks Furnok. Alright, so low, he attacks Balding Pot. Let's see if he kills Balding Pot. Jesus Christ. Alright, so 19 minus 16 is a 3. That'll hit for 1d3 damage, so 1 damage to Balding Pot. Frog hit Balding Pot for 1. These frogs are on... This frog is on fire. Hit BPG for 1. Dude, I knew these frogs were going to be a problem. Okay. We'll do initiative. Yeah, boy. Really need initiative here. Alright, so once again, fortune favors the party. I mean, let's see if Boar can take out... Let's just thinking how the players would... No spells, so... That, yeah, I would have declared him anyway, but there's no relevance. I mean, I guess there's Cure Light Wounds. Would Harold have Cure Light Wounds himself prior to me? Would Harold's player have done that? Harold's at 3 hit points. There's no attacks of opportunity in AD&D. Problem that oh fuck. What did I roll? It was a 5 to 4. Does he have enough segments? I think it was more than 2. They won the initiative by more than 2. So, the question is here, would he yeah. Would he Cure Light Wounds is a 5-segment spell. So, I just think he's in if he gets hit, he gets hit. The Cure Light Wounds isn't necessarily going to save him because it's 5 segments. So his player would likely have not done that. His player would likely have said, let's kill this fucking giant frog. All right, so Boar will swing on the giant frog. Come on, Boar. You are the man. 17 hits. 18 with his strength bonus. With his Zweihander, which does 1d10, plus his strength bonus of 3. So, nice work, Boar. Let's finish the job, homie. 6 is exactly enough. Boar, you are a hero of the common man. All right, so round 3. Party gets initiative. Boar, 6 hit, kill the giant frog, the slayer of many a party. Okay, well, that's good news for Harold. Things could have gone wrong there. Things could still go wrong for Harold, I suppose. All right, I guess they're both the same. Garl will attack this frog. 20 minus 2 is 7. He'll miss. Harold will attack that frog. Harold will also miss. So, Harold miss. Garl miss. Finn will attack. So Frog 1 over here is yeah, he's going to attack Frog number 1 who's injured. 20 minus 13 is 7. That'll hit. Oh, he's got a bonus 2, so it's 14. So he'll hit. That frog only has 1 hit point, so it's dead. All right, Harold miss. Garl miss. Finn hit, kill. Hit, kill. Normal frog. Okay, we have Balding Pot and Furnok. Balding Pot will go first. Balding Pot. Miss with a 3. Furnok. 5. Miss. Spugnoir. No, buddy. I think you're gonna just chill for now. I think you're kind of a coward. All right. Starting from the frog, kind of on the south end of the screen here. High attacks Furnok. Low Balding Pot. Low Balding Pot. Attack. Miss. Second frog. We'll do it high low. Here we go. High low. High Harold. Nope, cock die. Alright, low. He'll attack Garl. Frog on Garl. Miss with a 7. Frog on Finn. Miss with a 2. Alright. So, all frogs missed? Frog whiff. Frog whiff. Now, Gary says these guys are voracious and they're hungry, so they're going to fight on. I'm not going to check morale. Boy, oh boy, party's fucking getting... I don't know if they got lucky. Party gets the initiative. That's great. All right, so Boar's going to fucking come in here and absolutely just lay the wood to this frog. Or roll a 6. Finn on his frog. Ooh, nat 20 hits. 1d8 plus 1. Be 3 damage to frog 2. Boar, miss. Finn. 3 damage? Yeah, 3 damage to frog 2. Frog 3 over here has got 7 hit points. He's the realest frog there is. Alright, Harold. Miss. Garl. Miss. Balding Pot. Hit. 5 damage to oh, that frog is dead. Yeah. All right. BPG 5 kill. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah. So we have two frogs left. Okay. That was everybody. Okay, so bottom frog on Finn. We'll just do that first. Easy one. Miss. Frog down there. High, low, high. Attack Furnok. Nope. Attacks ball and pot. Ball and pot. Nope. Misses ball and pot. All right. Frogs miss. Round 5. Yeah, I don't think. No spell. My lord. Party. For 5 straight rounds, won initiative. And didn't get surprised. Okay. So, Finn on his frog. No. Boar will run over and attack that frog. Jesus, no. All right, I'm gonna rule here now. We've got this frog badly outnumbered. So we're gonna shift into rogue. I think this is reasonable to think that they could flank and get a backstab. Garl with a backstab. Oh yeah. 19 spear to this frog, dead, double damage. All right, boar miss. Finn miss. Embarrassingly enough. Garl, you can backstab a frog, right? Shit, it's double 5. It's actually 10 damage. Kill. And that frog had 7 hit points, so that's actually pretty relevant. You know what I mean? Okay. I don't know. I mean, it's a minute rounds, right? Like, we're not gonna be able to backstab these guys, but in a minute they could roll over there and kill that frog. All right, so Furnok. 12 is a 13 with his dagger. 20 minus 13 is 7. He actually hits. That frog only has 1 hit point. 2 hit points. It is dead. Furnok. Hit. 2. Kill. Ouch. Wow. All right, so Harold got friggin' cacked by a frog. And we're almost at, we're at a reasonable stopping point here. Okay, so we're gonna stop here. Man, I know it seems like we didn't do a whole lot except kill some frogs in 2 hours, but know that those frogs were loved. I think it's interesting though that encounter, which is highly variable in its deadliness. Yeah, I think it's just interesting from a module design that Gary sticks this thing that's sort of it's a really high variance encounter in that you have this really high chance of getting surprised. Again, assuming his intention there was to override the whole ranger only surprise on a 1 thing. And it's if there's 2 of those giant frogs, that could be pretty nasty. So we want initiative every round, so that I think was kind of a ridiculous amount of luck. So we made it past the frogs. Harold's a little fucked up. He's probably going to need to heal himself. We'll figure that out next session. But I think we're not injured enough to where we have to make some hasty retreat to Hommlet or anything like that, which is kind of what I was dreading. Is the pen and paper tabletop experience of the 1 encounter day is no fun really for anybody to play or whatever. So getting again, like, the game is a little bit of a D&D, AD&D, any of the older variants can be in a little in some ways thought of as a little bit of a war of attrition, right? So your party is having its resources depleted, and there should be some time factor here that matters. And in story, we're saying that time does matter to Boar, especially. So for them to kill some frogs, walk back a day and a half, 2 days to Hommlet, and then walk back would probably be unacceptable, right? And so we do have, we have a little bit of healing magic here, so I think we'll just try to use that, and we'll try to get over to the moat house. Interestingly enough, there's an amethyst here that you get if you slay this frog. Yeah, we'll have to determine whether or not the party finds that or not. I think, again, just in lieu of the fact that if you add up all the XP in this module, I did a little bit of cocktail napkin math on it. It's like there's no way for a party to ever get to any kind of level. If you murder every brigand and steal every fucking coin from this entire thing, you're not even gonna make level 2. So we're gonna have to find some ways to get some XP that aren't like super, Monty Hall, but at the same time, it's just like, yeah, I added up most of the XP, and if the assumption here, which on all these old school modules, or older modules, I should say, the assumption is that you would have 5 to 8 players. And so, like, if you add up the XP just in the moat house, then you're not, like, you clear the whole moat house, murder everybody, murder everyone that's in, spoiler alert, all the brigands that are in here, and you won't even be level 2. So it's tough. It's tough to imagine that you're, again, unless you go on a murder spree in Hommlet, it's like, where's the XP? You know what I mean? So, interesting. We may have to figure out some side quests. I think in the narrative, I'm going to work a little bit with the dripping blades thing. So, we'll build a little bit of a narrative around where those orcs might have come from, and maybe we'll give them like a map or something. So we know, for example, if the party wants to go root out their nests in the Troika game, for example, there was like an orc cave. So we could probably work out some side quest type stuff. But anyway, we just hit 2 hours, so this is more than enough time. We slept, we healed. We killed frogs. We were injured again. Truly a magnificent quest that our party is undertaking here. I'll endeavor to get another audio chapter out, maybe this weekend. So we left off. We're gonna have like a pretty long, I think, sort of interactive audio drama, especially with respect to like Harold's interaction with Turgon, which we sort of glossed over in the actual play. But I think that's important to walk through in the audio drama. Then we'll, of course, have sort of the whole scene we played out in the Welcome Wench, which was fun, the gambling scene. So we'll pick up Spugnoir, we'll pick up Furnok. We'll see where it goes. I think it probably would be good if the next audio drama made it all the way through that orc ambush, and we'll probably pause there. But thank you again for stopping in, and if you haven't checked out the audio drama, it's far better than this, so I recommend you go listen to it, and I recommend you never watch this again, because this is just, wandering throughout the Flanays killing frogs. So, all right, take care, everybody, and stay hungry.